Hey guys, sorry about the false start. There was a bad connection for a minute there, but I changed some settings and hopefully we're good now. Let me just adjust the camera slightly for you guys. There's my hand. All right, that's a little bit better. So hey, thanks for tuning in. Today is time for us to talk about pentatonics. It's something that's near and dear to me and to, I guess, like most guitar players, really, right? Because it's just such a handy scale. It's so kind of melodic and easy to use. And I wanted to sort of dig into that because I use it in lots and lots of ways, and in some ways to paint colors that you might not expect. So I use it in certain ways over certain chords and over certain keys and over like certain scales, other scales. I use it within the context of other scales, and I wanted to share some of those tricks with you guys, as well as just some basic licks, some of my favorite ones. I will have I'll finish today with one of my favorite pentatonic licks, and you can get the tab for it. It's on Patreon, where I keep all of my tabs for all of the intro solos and all of that. So if you're going to tune into my world on Patreon, you will get access to all of my tabs, including the one that I'll be showing later. And also, I'm basically putting up tons of lessons for you guys on the Patreon, because it's something that I've been asked for so many years now, and I just thought, okay, well, it's time to actually dig into that side of things and share the kind of knowledge and tricks that I've found and accumulated over the years of playing and improvising. Like just a couple of days ago, for example, there was a intro solo to an A minor blues that we did a deep dive into. That's also linked in the description. It's an A minor slow blues, and I played a solo on that, and then I dissected that and talked about some of the harmony and theory behind it, and concepts like question and answer, and used octaves as well, showing how to play octaves, and also how it helps when you play octaves. I love octaves. Octaves, obviously, are those things there, kind of Wes Montgomery sounding things. And so yeah, I dig into that and a bunch of other stuff. Like I said, the harmony and theory behind things in that lesson. It's linked below. But for now, let's talk about pentatonic. So I want to show you like 5 basic tricks, I like to call them, for using your minor pentatonic, specifically the minor pentatonic, which is the good old one that so many of us are, I guess, probably the most comfortable with. It's probably the scale that I'm the most comfortable with. And like I said, I like to use it in various scenarios, so that it paints the upper colors, so that it paints colors. And by colors, I mean, like, for example, upper extensions or some of the interesting notes in a scale. And I'm going to show you some of the ways that I like to do that. So we're going to do it in a variety of contexts. We'll start with something simple first. Let me just do a quick little shout out. It is a live hang after all. So let's see who's in the house. Where are you guys? Let me know where in the world you are. Always love to hear where you are. Matthew Delahunt, good afternoon. Yeah, it's actually not noon here yet, but good afternoon to you. 6 String Studies is in the house. Ed Dana was first. Fabio, Victor, Chris Brown. Oh, yeah, I love that song as well, Chris. In the Air Tonight. San Diego's in the house. Chris Brown, good morning. Holland is in the house. Kelowna. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. Oh, cool. Ian Thompson says, the Jam Fam's up to 88 now. Want to give it a shout out and see if we can get it to 100 this month. So Ian Thompson is pure awesome. Yeah, we've been connected here online for a while, and Ian is, he's been a patron of mine for a really long time. I really appreciate your support, Ian, and all the sort of the great ideas and thoughts that you have, to do with our community. And so what Ian is referring to is a pretty new community that we started on Reddit. So there's a Reddit community called Jam Fam, where I am encouraging you guys to go and share your jams, so that we can have even more of a family of sharing and giving feedback to each other, and developing our playing together. So thank you for championing that, Ian. I really appreciate it. So that is also, I believe, linked in the description. Look out for it. It says community, and then it's basically Reddit Jam Fam. So check it out. We'll see if we can grow that one to its first 100 members. It's a nice little, for now it's little, but it's a nice community where, like I say, it's a chance for you guys to share. So appreciate that, Ian, very much. And Roma in the house. Thank you, one lister of Smeg, if I'm saying that right. Vishay, Houston, Texas, Sweden in the house, Spain, Central Valley, awesome. South Africa in the house, and Tucson, Arizona, Argentina in the house, Victoria from the Republic of Moldova, Eastern, oh yeah, Moldova, nice. And Denmark is in the house. Viking brother, good morning from Oklahoma, Michigan. Lovely piece of furniture, yes. There is a little bit of a piano here. Baldwin piano is actually a really, really nice piano. I'm here at the Straw Horse Studios in LA. It belongs to a friend of mine, it's not mine. I come here a lot, and he's one of my best friends, and it's just a totally awesome workspace. He has people in here, like proper bands. It's a big studio, so he has full-on bands in here, and he recently had John Mail in here, actually, from Blues Breakers. So it's a pretty inspiring environment, and yeah, if you ever are looking for a studio to record in LA, hit me up, and I'll see if I can help you get a good deal. All right, so let's see what we got. Thank you, Mario, for the t-shirt here. Shout out. Yeah, that's actually on my new merch. This is new merch. Do what you love and F the rest. There you go. That's what I try and live by. And Chris Brown, you might be the only one representing for Canada for now. Who knows? Anybody from Canada in the house? Let us know, guys. And yeah, let's dig into it, guys. So I'm gonna start with the first one. And the first one's really simple, that probably most of you will have touched upon before, which is using the minor pentatonic in a major context. So you're basically saying, okay, let's do all of this in A. And you're saying, okay, the key is A major. I want to use the minor pentatonic to play, even though it's major, right? And the way we're going to do that is, well, first of all, actually, before we talk about anything else, we need to acknowledge the fact that there are 3 minor pentatonic scales within each of the modes, within the major scale, within Dorian, within Phrygian, within Lydian, Mixolydian, so forth. They all have 3 minor pentatonic scales inside them, okay? And that's really the key knowledge that I'm gonna take and use today. So 3 minor pentatonic scales are always hiding within the major scale. So when you have A major, there are 3 minor pentatonic scales hiding in that. So the first one would be the one that you find on the second step, which is B minor in the case of A major, okay? Now the second one is what you find on the third step, which is not that strange when you think about what the modes are that start in the second and third steps. The second mode would be Dorian, which has a minor third. So basically what we're saying is, well, all of these 3 pentatonic scales, they must be from a mode that has a minor third, a 4, a 5, as in a natural 4, natural 5, and a flat 7, because that is the DNA of a minor pentatonic scale, right? It's root, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7. So we can find that in 3 places. So we say that on the second step, on the third step, and on the 6th step. Okay, so on the 6th step of the major scale, you're going to find what's called the relative minor, right? So that is basically the minor key, the Aeolian mode that corresponds to the major keys. So my first trick is going to be to simply take the relative minor, the minor pentatonic from the relative minor. You can always work that out by either going up the scale, the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, to get to that 6th step, and then it's the minor pentatonic that starts from that step. Or you can simply count down, being a guitarist, 1, 2, 3. You can just count 3 frets back down. So any major scale, any major context, let's say A major, you can always do that. Just go down 3 steps, or 3 frets rather. And then there you have the relative minor, which provides you with the minor pentatonic that you can use. So now what I'm going to try and do is set up a loop that has a definitively major context. So I'm going to do a loop that has the A major and a D major and an E major, because those 3 chords together, the 1, the 4, and the 5, they contain all of the notes of A major. So basically, if I play anything that isn't in A major, our ears should be able to tell. So I'm gonna set up a little loop and see what happens. So. So one thing I do want to say is, so what I'm trying to do right now is just play the minor pentatonic, even where I'm used to playing it, right? In the box kind of position. The only thing that I have to switch is which notes sound like home, which notes are at home. So there's 2 aspects that you want to have going. One is simply playing the minor pentatonic. The other is knowing which chord tones are going on, because the chord tones and the home tones have shifted. So that's the only thing that you want to be aware of, because it will no longer sound, if you're used to going and this sounds like home, that F sharp, it's like, ooh, that doesn't sound like home anymore. So that's the thing that you got to be aware of, that it's the same shape that you know so well, but the places that sound like home, the chord tones are those have shifted. So I'm going to try and explore the F sharp minor pentatonic in the context of A major. Let's go. So just playing around with the colors there of F sharp minor over your A major context. Okay, so that's trick number one. Basically playing with the relative minor of any major context. Okay, let's take that a step further. So I mentioned 3 minor pentatonic scales within each major scale or any mode. So obviously now this was Ionian mode, just the good old major scale. Now let's do number 3, which is trick number 2, but the scale, the minor pentatonic that you get on the 3rd step. So number 3 mode would be Phrygian mode. So in the context of A major, what you can do is you can take C sharp minor pentatonic. So basically the minor pentatonic that you get on the 3rd step of any major scale, that major pentatonic, minor pentatonic is going to sound pretty sexy, or we're about to find out how it will sound. So let's look at which notes that you play when you play that scale. So for the C sharp minor, you play the major 3rd, so that's going to be very agreeable in the context of A. You play the E, which is the 5th. You play the F sharp, which is the 6th. And then you play this note, which is the major 7. Okay? And then you play this note, which is the 2nd or the 9th, which is B. So So if you're playing, like, for example, an A major 7 chord, kind of jazzy, or A major 9 as this is, then that minor pentatonic scale is going to really help you out. It's going to really paint those colors for you. So let's give that a shot. I'll just jam a little on an A major 7 chord, and then I will just use C sharp minor pentatonic. So that's trick number 2. Something for you guys to try out. So. Got a little bit jazzy there. Went a little Lydian there for a second, but you see my point. You can sometimes go in and out. Obviously, that's what I do a lot of the time. I don't stick with just one thing. But as a tool that you dip into and out of, using the minor pentatonic like that is super helpful, I find anyway, because it's like, I'm playing the more interesting, kind of colorful notes by default if I'm thinking C sharp minor pentatonic on an A major 7 chord. So I'm by default playing that major 7 and that major 9 or major 2nd if you like. Okay, so that was trick number 2, kind of a jazzy one. Let's do one that's a little more bluesy. Let's think about Mixolydian. So a Mixolydian context. For those of you that are into your modes, Mixolydian is obviously like a major mode, or it's like a major scale, but it has, instead of the natural 7, it has the flat 7. Okay, so A Mixolydian goes. Okay, and I'm gonna lay down a Mixolydian progression, which would be like, for example, A going to a G major chord, over with A in the bass. That is a like very specifically Mixolydian kind of vibe. So I'll put that down in a second, but let's think for a minute. So what does A Mixolydian, where does that come from? So A Mixolydian is the fifth mode of D major, which means let's work out where we get our three, or which three minor pentatonic scales that we get for A Mixolydian. So we get, obviously, if it's D major that it comes from, it would be the second step, which is E minor, so E minor pentatonic. It's the third step of D major, right? Which would be F sharp minor pentatonic. And then it would be the sixth step from D major, which is B, so B minor pentatonic. So those three pentatonics are the ones that we can play around with in the context of A Mixolydian. You see where I'm going with this? So I want to focus in. So the F sharp minor is a relative minor kind of vibe. So we already kind of explored that, because that works as well. It works really well for an A Mixolydian kind of context as well. The one that's maybe a little bit more of a surprise is E minor pentatonic, and that's trick number 3 that I want to focus in on. So let me try and set up a little loop for an A Mixolydian kind of context. F sharp minor pentatonic first. Okay, now we're going to use E minor pentatonic. Let's try it. So there, I was playing around with, licks that I would normally completely associate with E minor, which was this kind of octave thing that I've probably doing too much at the moment, but it's kind of a fun thing I've found. So I'm just sliding like octaves around and just totally thinking about E minor pentatonic here. And I was also doing these stacks of fourths. If you're wondering what stacks of fourths are, hit up my, there's a playlist for the Wednesday warm-ups. A couple of Wednesdays ago I did stacks of fourths. So hit those ones up. If you want to see what stacks of fourths are, the tab is free for that, and obviously is on Patreon and everything as well. So yeah, what I'm doing there is totally just thinking E minor pentatonic, you know, which is obviously something I know really well, and that you probably know really well as well. But I'm doing it in the context of A, and then it just creates that that sort of focus on some of the more interesting notes, which is like, for example, the ninth or the second, and the flat seven. Very kind of open sound, and let's have a look at other ways that you can use that E minor pentatonic. You can also use it in, for example, A minor. So say that you're in A minor. Let's do an A minor progression. So like A minor going to D minor, for example. Really simple. So. Yeah, so there I'm literally just going, again, E minor, jumping in and out of E minor a little bit, you know, acknowledging the fact that we're in A minor, so adding a few notes from that, but literally basing my phrases again around E minor pentatonic. Yeah, it works. Try it out for yourself. The last one I want to do where I'm using the E minor. So in other words, the fifth, the minor pentatonic scale that you're going to find on the 5th fret of any key. I want to try it on Dorian because it works on that as well. So Dorian would be like a minor scale, but with a natural 6th step. So. And typical like Dorian progression for A minor would be A minor going to D. So let's try that. Try and add the E. Add in another one, B minor pentatonic. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to play A minor pentatonic. I'm going to use all of them for this. For A Dorian, it actually works really well to use all of the available minor pentatonic scales, the 3 ones. So obviously A Dorian is the 2nd step of the G major scale, Dorian being the 2nd mode. So if we think about G major, it all adds up. The second the second degree is where you get your first minor pentatonic scale. That would be A minor. The third degree is where you get your B minor, and the sixth degree from G is that E that we started talking about in the beginning. Okay, so I'm going to try and use A minor pentatonic, B minor pentatonic, and E minor pentatonic, and just A Dorian. But you'll see me jumping in and out of each of those, and that can really help create some extra colors. And you know, you're using something that you really know and hopefully like in terms of the the minor pentatonic. So it's just like a key to a door that when you open it, it's like, whoa, this is fun. That's how I feel anyway about minor pentatonics, because it's like, if you're playing a really difficult key or in a difficult harmonic context, sometimes it only takes a switch in your brain where it's like, oh, but I can play this scale. And then as soon as you know that, it's like you're on fire. So it's like sometimes it's just knowing that one thing that is like, whoa, I can literally play something that I know really well and make it sound amazing. So yeah, that's the tool I'm trying to give you guys, is being able to do exactly that. So there we go. This will stay up obviously for a little while, and then it'll be available, like all my live streams will be available on the Patreon. It's linked below, so you can come back and dig into it. But yeah, let's have a go. 3 different pentatonic scales: A minor pentatonic, B minor pentatonic, E minor pentatonic, and just Dorian. Yeah, so just playing around, so with those scales that I know really well and that you guys probably know as well. Okay, we're gonna do one more that is very much one where it's like, you might be in a context that makes you uncomfortable, and you can pick out a minor pentatonic scale and rip it up with that. The context I'm talking about is Lydian. Let's try and make a Lydian kind of context and find out which scales, which minor pentatonics would be available to us there. So we have on the A major, or A Lydian. Well, first of all, let's figure out what is the parent major scale to A Lydian. In fact, hey, let's do a giveaway. I'll give away a free album download to the first person. Might as well have a little interaction here. I normally do this, don't I? So let me know what is the parent major scale of A Lydian. So which major scale is A Lydian? The 7 notes of A Lydian are based on which major scale? Let me know, and I'll give you guys a free download. Maybe we'll do a couple more giveaways right there. So just what you want to do once we got a winner, you can just email me on the website. Email me, tell me which album that you would like for free, anything that's downloadable from Quistorama.com jam tracks or Quistorama.com music. Okay, so I haven't checked in. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so let's see who's first. Cool. Joseph from San Antonio is here. Thank you, Joseph. Guitar's Great says, dude, you're so close to 200,000 subscribers. Thank God, you deserve 1 million. Thank you. Actually, talking about numbers, guys, I am about to hit, probably next month, the channel will hit 100 million views, which is pretty bonkers. And I am actually doing a larger size giveaway for that. I've got a couple of well-known guitar companies involved in it. I don't want to mention any names in case things don't solidify the way that that they need to first. But I will be giving away some, larger size stuff for that, because yeah, amazingly the channel is hitting 100 million views really soon. So probably next month in March. If not March, then certainly April. So yeah, thank you guys. It's freaking amazing. Really appreciate it. Guitar's Great says, can you demo some repeatable licks? Yes, actually our final trick will be one that's repeatable, and it's you've got the tab. The tab is on my Patreon, which is linked below. In fact, there's a link for the specific tab, I believe, for that. Okay, so let's see. We got A flat, we got F sharp, we got F, E flat. Barry Belknap says E. Barry, you get it, because E major is the correct answer. I hope I got the I saw the chat as it happened in the correct order. But yeah, Barry, you got it. It is E major. So A Lydian comes from the E major scale. So knowing that, let's figure out which 3 minor pentatonic scales that we can use. We got on the second step the F sharp minor. We got on the third step of E major the G sharp minor pentatonic, which sounds pretty controversial, right? You're playing an A major and you're going to be playing a G sharp minor pentatonic. Who would have thought? But I'll show you. You can make it work, and it sounds pretty awesome at times. It's also very easy to get it to sound not so great, but once you've played around with it for a bit, there's ways that you can make it sound really, really special. And like I said, you're playing something that you know really well. So it's a trick. Okay, so that was the third one. So from D or E major, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. C sharp would be our last minor pentatonic scale. So A Lydian, we're going to play around with F sharp minor, which is relative minor. So that one's pretty obvious. And also C sharp minor, which is also present in the A major. So we're kind of used to that one as well. And then we got that special sauce, the G sharp minor pentatonic. So now let's try and I'm going to set up a little loop. I'll do the quintessential like Lydian loop, which is A major over A, obviously, and then B over A. Has that hero type of vibe to it. So let's give it a shot, guys. So. Okay, I'm gonna start with F sharp minor. C sharp minor. What I'm doing here is just, you know, some of my favorite, like, minor pentatonic sequences. Or the stacks, again, of third or of fourths. Which in this context, because you're using, you know, a minor pentatonic that isn't, you know, that provides, like, those higher extension notes. It's like, it ends up sounding pretty hip. And okay, let's try the last one, which is the G sharp minor pentatonic over an A Lydian kind of thing. So yeah, let's see what happens, guys. I'm gonna try and mix all of them together and just notice that I'm adding some of that G sharp. Pretty jazzy kind of concept. Let's try it out. So yeah, literally just playing around with those three minor pentatonics right there over A Lydian. So yeah, that was my fourth trick, using, again, just those three minor pentatonic scales in the context of a mode. Obviously, this can be done on any other modes, in on any chord, really. It's just knowing what the mode is, and then finding out what the parent major scale is, and then figuring out those three ones. Some of them work better than others, and some of them take time. I mean, that's why I put out all these jam tracks, for you guys to take, concepts like this and really zoom in and work on each of those kinds of concepts, to really be able to say, okay, here's a Lydian context. Let me get really good at using on A Lydian. Let me get really good at using the slipping in some G sharp minor. So, go to an A Lydian jam track. I've got one of those, if not more, but I've certainly got one. Go to an search A Lydian Quist, and you'll find and specifically A Lydian context, and you can try and slip your G sharp minor pentatonic into that, or your F sharp minor pentatonic, or your C sharp minor pentatonic, like I was just doing. Highly recommend that kind of isolated practice, where you take concepts like that and just really go and zoom in like that. So yeah, guys, that's I want to show you something to end with. Trick number 5 is going to be something that I kind of slipped into my jamming the whole time. I think on every example I probably slipped in a little bit of this. I was trying to do it on purpose, which maybe didn't make for the most musical playing, but at least I slipped. I was trying to, this is more of a practice session than a musical statement, obviously. So yeah, what I was trying to slip in there is one of my favorite sort of sequences and repetitive kind of figures, patterns that I use a lot. Probably use too much, but it's really good fun. And I'm going to show you how to do it on A minor. It's pretty simple. The fact that it takes 4 notes. So it's a sequence. Then it moves those 4 notes. It plays 4 notes of the minor pentatonic. Then it moves those four notes up. And then up. Moves 4 notes basically. You go 4 notes up the scale, then you go back to the next step of the scale, and then 4 notes up. So it's a very simple sequence, but the way I'm playing it is one that allows me to go across the fretboard, which is great fun when you're trying to travel from one place to another. It's super handy to have sequences or scales or tricks that can take you from one part of the fretboard to another. And yeah, it's something that I love to do. I do it in lots of different ways, but I'm going to show you just one way to do it. And the tab for this is actually linked below. You can get it on my Patreon. I mean, it's for patrons only, so you would have to pay $1. But then if you pay that, you get access to tons of other tabs. All of my Wednesday warm-ups are up there, and I have, obviously the extended lessons. All of my tabs for the intro solos are all on my Patreon. So check it out. I appreciate the support through that, and I'm continually adding tons of stuff there, both the intro solos, obviously the Wednesday warm-ups, various tabs of sorts for things like exercises like this one and whatnot, but also extended lessons about improvisation and soloing and things of that nature, which is really what my channel is about. So let's have a look at it. So A minor pentatonic, it's pretty simple. Obviously we've been in A the whole time, so let's just stay in A. Let's make it A minor pentatonic. So what I do is I play the A minor pentatonic in the 5 caged shapes. If you don't know the caged system, that's worth checking out as well. The caged means, C, A, G, E, and D. That's where caged comes from, those 5 basic shapes. And if you divide the minor pentatonic into the caged shapes, you get 5 different shapes that you can learn and use, and which means you can then you know the minor pentatonic across the whole fretboard. I highly recommend that you have a look at and learn the minor pentatonic in those 5 shapes, because it can really help you open up the fretboard. And it's something that I have done a lot. I mean, I actually wrote them out myself, which I also would recommend that you do, which seems a bit old school in this time of technology. But you can obviously go to my Patreon and download the full. I've got that on several of my posts, the minor pentatonic in all the 5 cage shapes. But what I actually really do recommend that you do is what I did when I was a child, which is I wrote out 5 necks, and then put in the dots for each of these 5 positions of the A minor pentatonic scale, and which other minor pentatonic scales that you might want to work on. That really helped me visualize these 5 shapes. I highly recommend that you do that. I'll show them to you. The first one for A minor pentatonic. Actually, yeah, let's start on the the basic one, which you all know probably. Which is this one. Now the one before that is worth noting. That one's symmetrical. You got 2 there, 2 there, and then it's the same 2 as we're down the bottom. Next up, you have this one here. Hey. That one's a little weirder, a little more challenging. But it's super handy, you got stuff like... that shape does have a lot of gold in it, but is explored a lot less than some other shapes. Next up, we have this shape here. So 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, 9, 12, 10, 13, and then 10, 12. Super handy as well. And next up we have this one, which is the E shape, or the A shape rather. Also, that's probably the second most popular one, so very much worth learning. And then we're back, which is that one, just up the octave. So those are the 5 shapes. And one thing that I love to do, which is the thing I've tabbed for you guys and is linked below, is this little idea. Okay, that's it, going up. Going down, we're going to go like that. So that's like an idea that I use all the time. So it's just playing the minor pentatonic on 2 strings. You can do it on any 2 strings. So obviously, it could be the top 2 strings, the middle, it could be the lower, it could be anything. Obviously, once you get to know the minor pentatonic scale in all of those 5 shapes, things like that are super fun to play around with. So check it out. We go 5, 2, 5, 2, 5 on the D and G strings. I'm playing this with alternate picking, so down, up, down, up. It's by far the easiest way to get real speed going. So down, up, down, up. Next up, so now I move just up the scale to the next scale step, and I go 5, 7, 5, 7. Now up to the next shape, and I go 7, 10, 7, 9. Okay? It's quite a big little, quite a quick little shift between them, so that probably will take a little bit of practice. Next up, I'm going to use my second finger for this one. Finding a fingering that works for you is obviously super important, because it's so hard to get it up to speed if you don't have a fingering that is proper efficient, basically. So next we're going to go second finger, fourth finger, so that's 10 and 12, and then 9 and 12 with the first and fourth fingers. And then we're going to go 12, 14, 12, 14. And then we're back to here, just up the octave, so that's 14, 17, 14, 17. And on the A. And then going down, again, down, up is what I recommend. And obviously you can also add another element of sequencing in there if you want. You can go up 3 of these, and then go down 1 and go up 3. So the same thing going down. So there we have it, guys. A little bit of a minor pentatonic lick that I love to use. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoy it. Appreciate the support very much. Like I said, there's going to be a large size giveaway coming up in the next month or two for when I hit 100 million views on YouTube. In the meantime, I really appreciate it. Keeping the jams coming, obviously. Let me just adjust this. And you can expect, that's more like it. You can expect to obviously have lots more jams coming. And like, for example, yesterday I put out another one in the Sexy series. Check it out. It is a B minor blues. I played this amp on it. Really simple amp, actually. Just a Blues Junior, but and I'm playing it almost completely clean. I've just got the reverb on from the amp, and then I've got a tiny bit of hot cake on. If you guys know hot cake, it's a drive pedal, great drive pedal. But apart from that, it's just clean. So yeah, super simple stuff, which is how I like it. Guys, thank you for tuning in today. Let me just do a little shout out, and maybe I'll do another little. I'll do one more little quick giveaway. Serve thank you. Always learning something new and challenging from you. Thank you very much. Yeah, this one was admittedly on the advanced side most of the time. I appreciate that not everything is for everyone. I like to dig deep a little bit sometimes, and I dig into stuff that requires maybe a little bit of harmony and theory knowledge. I know and understand that not everybody has got that. So yeah, I am continually trying also to make my stuff a little more accessible for people that maybe haven't studied all that long and aren't that deep into harmony and theory and technique and so forth. So for example, this week's Wednesday warm-up was tailored to somebody who might just be starting out, basically learning scale sequences. It's like what I consider to be the most essential scale sequence that you would want to learn when you're just starting out, learning scales and practicing scales with scale sequences. It's super musical, that one, and it's great ear training. So that's why it's, you know, one of the most popular ones to use when you're just learning music. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is I am trying to um, you know, help out, also help out people that maybe haven't, you know, done their 5,000 or 10,000 hours of work already. Um, but yeah, sometimes I go deep, and because you know I am a music theory nerd and a guitar nerd, and you know, it's gonna happen. We're gonna go deep sometimes, and I just want to thank you guys for being you know, along for the ride. Um, Kentucky in the house, Atlanta, awesome. I'm just Eddie from Atlanta. I'm just making a track right now with a girl from Atlanta, and she sounds amazing. The whole scene in Atlanta is inspiring. Uh, Austin says, seriously, George Benson-esque phrasing. Thank you. I appreciate it. I love George Benson for sure. Ganesh says, oh Lord, this channel has literally made me enjoy and keep learning the guitar more. Thanks a lot. That is so awesome. That's literally why it's here, to help you guys, you know, in your path to, you know, having fun with music, and you know, learning how to express yourself a little better on your instrument. That's really one of the main um, things that I'm trying to do is to be a place where people can come and get inspiration and tools to like really find their own voice musically. I'm always searching and developing, you know, my own voice and my own vocabulary as a musician and as somebody who improvises. So you know, and I've used the jam tracks as one of our main ways of doing that, and that's why I'm sharing them, guys, because I think that it really works. Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Okay, I like it. Oh, you have a hot cake. Nice. Austria is in the house. Niagara Falls, Canada. Oh, so Canada, you are being represented. Love it, guys. Hey, I'm gonna give away one more album. All you gotta do is tell me. I'll tell you what you're gonna tell me in a second. But whoever wins, you can grab an album, a free download from my website, quistorama.com/jam tracks or /music. Anything that's downloadable, I'll give that to whoever can guess what I'm about to play. What am I about to play? Let's do something that's pentatonic related. So, let me have a think. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna we'll call this a little recap. I'm gonna play something on A Dorian, and tell me which two minor pentatonic scales I'm using, which aren't A minor. Let's figure it out. Okay, so which scales was I playing around with? I'll give away a free download to whoever was first to tell me. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Barry was actually first again, so B and E is correct. So I'll give you two, but I'll also give it away to somebody else. So Trash Boat was first. E minor and B minor pentatonic. You're quite right. And John Franey got it as well. John, you can write me an email and I'll give you a free download as well. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Appreciate it. Like most of my live streams, this one will not stay up forever, but it will be available on my Patreon. That's where they go after a little while, so you can access them there. Sort of keep digging into the material. That is also where I keep all of my jam tracks. No, not all my jam tracks. All of my tabs. And so it'll be the Wednesday warm-ups, the intro solos, everything else that I make that has tabs to it. Everything is kept there. So appreciate you guys supporting me on there. It means a whole lot, and it's kind of what's enabling me to keep on doing this, to be honest, because it makes a big difference. It really does. And for that reason, I'm also making this whole new series of lessons where we deep dive into the harmony and theory and the licks behind soloing and many of the solos that I put out. So that's it, guys. Excuse me. Expect lots more jams. I've also got actually an album coming out on the 28th of February. There is an album of loop improvisations coming out on my Spotify and everywhere else as well. I'm going to put out some of the jams on this channel, but it will be out everywhere first, actually, in the sort of traditional, streaming sites and stuff like that. So check out my Spotify and follow me on Spotify if you want to see what's going on. I'm putting out a ton of music, both a ton of jam track albums this year. I have a separate Spotify for the jam track albums as well, and obviously they're all on my website. And I also give away free downloads every month on the Patreon, complimentary downloads. But yeah, check out those two Spotify accounts. My main one for the music, I'm going to be putting out quite a few albums this year, full albums. And the first one, like I said, is coming February 28th. And yeah, check out the other Spotify as well, where it's a pretty new one. I've just started putting all the jam albums up there. I believe that's linked below as well, so you can go on Spotify and jam as well if that is your kind of vibe. And that's it, guys. Really appreciate you hanging out, and I will see you very soon. Thanks for the support. That here is something, I mean it, and you helped me do it, so I appreciate you very much, and I'll see you very soon. We'll have another live stream very soon, and I don't want to announce it just now, but I'll probably do another poll to see what you guys want. And there we are. Thanks for hanging out, guys. See you soon.